All right, we're going to go ahead and replace this fan set on this car. I'm going to go over some tips and tricks on how to do it, so stay tuned. All right, so the reason I'm doing this is, see this fan right here? It's wobbling all over the place. A lot of times your auxiliary fan will just stop working, and you'll notice your air conditioning when you're just sitting at a light won't work very well. So if you have that issue, usually that's the fans. The best way to do it is actually replace both of them at the same time. It's always a good idea. I replaced my auxiliary fan on my other car by itself once, and I ended up having to do the other fan later. I just did them recently. So I picked up this cheap set on eBay. These are not really, the housing is not really made very well, but the fans actually work good. I've gotten those kind of fans before and they actually work fine. So we're going to go ahead and remove it, and then I'm going to put the new fans in the old housing, and I'll explain why real quick, why we're going to do that. This one, let's see if I can get you guys back a little bit. This one is just flimsy. I mean, the one that comes in this package is just really flimsy. They're and if you just put one of these in, you're risking that this is going to rub against your radiator, because it's going to vibrate, eventually, and possibly rupture the radiator. So I would prefer using the original set, the original plastic part, if yours is in good shape. If it's not in good shape, it might be a good idea to put some, kind of fit it, check it, make sure it's not going to rub against that radiator, because if it does, it will cause an issue. Volkswagen are very picky cars. They want everything right. I also noticed if you have a BRM engine, they have one bracket for one side like this, and then the other side they don't have it. And the BRM has this down lower. So if you have a BRM, you're going to want to change, put the fans in your old thing. So don't throw that thing away. And it's actually sturdier than this one is. The fan parts usually are fine. In fact, I put them on the other car and they're working great. So anyway, we'll get on it and bring it back in. On either car, it's a really good idea to just remove your air cleaner. So you go ahead and remove this guy. They'll always come right off, and then this one is on here, and on the BRM it's over here. So you go ahead and get this guy. Usually what I do is I'll take this bolt out. In fact, I've got to the point where I just leave it out, because I take this air cleaner off all the time, and just pull on it. So take that bolt out, and I just pull up on it, and then take the whole assembly out. So I know the camera angle is not that great, but I'll go ahead and do it while you guys are watching. Be careful not to hit the hose on the radiator. I already have this thing loose. Get a set of these. They have a set of these clamps for these spring clamps. There's a set of all three of these. Maybe I'll put a link in the description. You really want to buy that set. It looks like this. No, mine's really dirty. It looks like this. You have this long one, this one here. There's all these different ones. There's an angled one. Anyway, that's the set you really want to have to work on this car. It'll save your life. It makes it so much easier to work on. It's not just fun. So just take this thing out. Get it out of your way. Now you can have access to your bolts a lot easier. Okay. So there's 4 bolts to the fan set. You got one under here, one over there, 2 from underneath. You got to have the belly pan off too. All right, from under here, you want to get this. I just use a screwdriver right here and just lift up. There's a little tab under here. Lift it up a little bit. The correct way is a different way, but if I can feel it, I don't know, usually I can get it right loose. Lift up a little tab and then push this thing off. It should just come off of there. I don't know if I got it loose already. I do. My little tab I think is broken. Okay, then I've got this tube here needs to come out, and then there's a bolt right here that holds it in. It's hard to see. And then there's one above this. With this tube out, it's much easier to get to that one. It's right up under here. So we'll go ahead and remove this tube. This clamp here, and you pull on this little thing here. It should lock in place if it's not broken, which a lot of them are broken. You pull on this thing here, this little tab here. It should lock, but mine doesn't. See how it locks like that? The little spring. Let's see if I can get you up a little closer. You can see this little spring, it locks in place, and then you can just slide that thing right off there. So, all right, so there's 6 bolts here. You got these 10mm ones here. Take those all out, and then you'll need to unplug this. So it's a little bit tricky to do. Let me get this out. Generally, I'll just take a screwdriver and just kind of pry underneath here. You've got these little clips here for the wires. Save these because they're not on the new fans. So those little clips come off. They just kind of pry them off. Screwdriver. Save those. There's one here. One here. Sometimes you only have one of them. My other car only had one, depending on the year. Save those. We're going to put those right back in the same place. Remember where you take them off. You don't have to remember. All you got to do is look at the video, right? So put them back in the same place. These wires just pull out. Carefully pull them out. And you need to unplug these two together. Same way, you can either put a screwdriver underneath this little tab. Let's get you up a little closer. You can either put a screwdriver up underneath this little tab right here. A screwdriver. There's basically 2 different ways you can do this. You can carefully pry right here. You put it in this little slot here and then pry up a little bit and then slide it off. Or you can take your screwdriver. Sometimes that tab's broken because they break really easily, and you'll feel a little tab underneath here. And I'll show you what it looks like. Let me get this off here, and then just slide it off. Usually you push it on a little bit and then slide it back off. Pushing me, pull me kind of thing. See, there's the little tab right there. You can see where my thumb is. Little tab. You push that up, and that allows this thing to be unplugged. So pretty self-explanatory from here. Go ahead and remove both the fans off of here. Take the fans off of the new one and put them on here. You will see why. Check these little flappers. Make sure that they're on the right position. That one was flipped over, so that they can open as air goes through and down the road. Doesn't really make that much difference. These cars do not have problems with overheating usually. If you have a problem with overheating with your Jetta, it's got something seriously wrong, because I mean, this car will almost run without coolant. It's very, very efficient. So anyway, we're going to put these aside, put those on the new fans, put it back in. So you'll know that the fans slide down to the bottom. They don't go out through the top. They come out through the bottom. Other than that, it's pretty darn simple to do, guys. Not a hard job. I think you could be a complete novice and never have done anything and do this job. So I hope this helps. We're going to go ahead and end it right here, because putting it together is a reverse procedure of taking it apart. It's just basically the same thing you just did, taking them out. 4 bolts, take it out. Make sure that's why I always want to use these again, because look at, there's little tabs on here. If you look here, there's little tabs on here to center it. Right here, see these little centering tabs. a lot of those castings are not on the cheaper fan. And you'll notice that this is a much harder plastic that this is made out of. So if yours hasn't been in an accident and this is not cracked, if it's a little worn from the fan wobble, I'd still run the old one, the original one, because they're just better. And if you try and buy a fan set from the dealer, it is a shockingly high price, I'm sure. I haven't looked, but I'm sure it's really, really expensive. So these aftermarket ones are fine as long as you just put the fan motors in your existing thing. And that's really why I made this video. Another thing real quick, everybody's always missing these belly pan bolts, and you wonder if you go to the dealer and buy them. This right here, that is a Dorman part number for these bolts. So if you're missing any of your belly pan bolts, here is the part number. You can replace those yourself. Buy them from O'Reilly Auto Parts, has them pretty cheap. I think they were like less than $10 for a pack of, what is that, 25? Ton of them. That's the bolts that go right along here, and the one in the middle, they're all the same, and they come in a little package. It's not the exact same one, but it's very, very close. It takes a T25, I think just like the original ones did, I think. What does it say on the package? Or T20, whatever it is, the original size, it's exactly the same. And they look very similar. In fact, they look closer to the ones I bought at the dealer. So anyway, decided to put that in here for you too. I'll talk to you in the next one. Please like, share, and subscribe.